Okay, guys, it's 4 o'clock. We ready to get started? Seems like we have everybody. Okay, today, Monday, July 22nd, 4 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order and start off with our pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Okay, as always, the first item on the agenda is our citizens' open forum. Each speaker will be recognized once and will be limited to 5 minutes. Presentation on any subject. If any speaker has not been heard at the conclusion of the 30-minute open forum, the chair may announce a continuance and they'll be given an opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. So, do we have anyone that is here to present at today's open forum? If you would please come to the stand, state your full name and address for the record.
My name is Kerry Blatt, and I'm at 555 Dove Terrace West, Oldsmar, Florida. I have the privilege of being the chaplain at our new VFW post in Oldsmar. Number 12186, our post, and also the chaplain of the DAV Chapter 11. And I have another chaplaincy job I do. It's with the Billy Graham organization, and I'm a volunteer chaplain for their rapid response team that goes to emergencies, fires, floods, hurricanes, etc. It's through that organization that it's come to my notice. They have a training center. It's called the Billy Graham Training Center. It's in Asheville, North Carolina, very nice location. And they offer seminars, 1 day, 3 day, 5 day seminars, and they're offering them free to military, active duty military, and their spouses. Not to the kids, but for active duty military and their spouses, they can go free. And it's really nice. It's delicious food, room and board, and a seminar for free. So that can be a nice vacation to a military person that's kind of strapped with cash. So I can leave some information, I guess, maybe with the secretary or somebody. There's a website. It's www.thecove.org, and then there's also a, let's see, 828-771-4800 is a number they can call. So if anybody knows active duty military, admittedly the agenda is going to be a conservative Christian agenda. That's, well, Billy Graham, that's what you would expect. But it is open, and maybe we might have some of our relatives or friends who could take advantage of it. So that's all I'd like to mention.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to give it to Ann up here. Oh, yep, there we go.
Sorry. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, really appreciate you passing that on. Hopefully, yeah, you had a question?
No, I'm going to present something.
You're going to present something from the board? Would he do his board comments at the end if he's part of the board, or would he present during an open forum?
Depends on what he's presenting. Are you presenting it as a citizen or just as a board member?
As a
You'd like to-
citizen.
Oh,
Okay.
He's sitting as, he's an alternate, so he's not sitting as a board member right
Well, that's a good point, okay.
John Paskert, 818 Christina Circle. And what I'd like to do is present the board a planning document for their consideration. Thank you. That was developed under two methodologies. One is knowledge management. Where do you collect all of the information that's normally done through the two ceremonies that we normally conduct? So we've been listening for several years now to the planning of those ceremonies. I just started jotting down all of the different information and stuff that we've talked about as the board. The other thing that methodology was used is that's a living document. So you can change that thing to anything that you would like. So I simply consolidated all the information, and if you can use it, great. If you don't want to use it, that's fine with me too. Any questions?
No, it's a great document. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, John, it's quite obvious you've been listening and watching and paying attention and participating, because I see so many things on here that every year, every time we work on a ceremony, that seems to come up, that
Right.
it's all here now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, do we have someone else that is presenting at the Open Citizens Forum today? Aren't one of you two presenting today, our past council member and past mayor?
It's an agenda item, so I didn't know.
Is it? I don't think it's an agenda item, is it? It's good. Oh, it is. Oh, how'd that get? Okay. I didn't realize that got on there as an agenda item. All right, even better. Never mind. That's right. I was wondering why you weren't coming up. I didn't get that far down yet. Okay. Anyone else then? No? Okay. Then we will go to item number 2, the Purple Heart ceremony update.
Item number 1.
Item number, oh, sorry, yeah, I guess we need to approve the minutes from last month. So, looking over the minutes, has everyone had a chance to look over last month's minutes? Or last meeting's minutes on the board?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any corrections, additions, deletions? Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nope. Okay, very good. Okay, now let's go to the Purple Heart ceremony update. Frank, which, are you the chair, or is, I can't remember, or is that Mark, you're the chair? Okay, go ahead. I knew it was one of the two of you. You're both working on it together.
Okay, I didn't know if we had a program for all of us in front of us. There's probably not a whole lot of change going on as far as the program goes. We'll have the commemorative brick presentation, and that'll be Dave will do that. The welcoming will be Councilmember Katie Gannon, invocation Tom Trask. Presentation of the colors will be Admiral Farragut Academy. Pledge of Allegiance, Tom Trask. National anthem will be Mallory Gabardi. Recognition of dignitaries will be Dan Saraki. Mayoral message, Eric Seidel. Introduction to keynote speaker, still to be determined. I was looking for one. I believe John, they had you slated in there or penciled in. I don't know if anybody had contacted Chipley. I believe.
You about introducing the keynote speaker.
Oh, introducing the keynote speaker. Okay, I was going to say, I'm supposed to be finding or do it, you know.
No, it's just the
Okay.
introduction to the
Oh,
keynote.
introduction. Oh, that's no problem.
No,
That's
because Gabby is not going to be in attendance, so.
No, that's fine.
The keynote
Always like-
speaker for the event will be Richard Hunt. We'll have the recognition of Purple Heart recipients in attendance. I'd like to have chairs behind the Gold Star families and behind the Veterans Advisory Board, and then right behind them, we'd like to have the chairs for the Purple Heart recipients. I'm trying to get in contact with the guy that has most Purple Heart recipients in Pasco and Pinellas County.
Just a suggestion or a question. I mean, for something like this, would we not want them right up front? For something like this?
We could, but usually on the one side, we'll have council member, on the other side, we'll have
Yeah.
any senators, congressmen, anybody else, we kind of split them up there.
Since we're going to be, just curious, since we're going to be sideways on this one, right? It gives us a wider depth or a width, I guess. Would there be a potential that just for this ceremony, that maybe we could, instead of it being 2 sections, it's going to be less deep and more wide, that maybe we would have 3 kind of sets, if you will, with 2 aisles, and that way we could set up like we normally do. You got the left, instead of the left and right, we would have then all the way to the right, maybe, since we have 3 of them, we could put all of our Purple Heart recipients there. I just think this is that for them.
We
know?
definitely could do that, like I said, because the gentleman that takes care of the seating from Parks and Rec, or Leisure Services, as you said it, right now, the way it's set, it would be actually 40 wide, as compared to the 10 that it is now, because the way the tent's going to be set
Yeah,
up.
that's what I'm saying, so maybe we could.
So I'm sure with a little bit of direction from Chip or Alexis, we could do that.
I just think it'd be super important, you know, Gold Star up front, like we always have them on the left, and then maybe Purple Heart on the right, and then we could be, you know, in the middle like we normally are on the right,
Any
or
combination,
anything.
Whatever.
However it works out, but just them up front.
That's your
I'd sit
plan.
behind them, I would, you know, at this point, you know.
Whatever you think would be right. Okay. Okay, then we're going to have the monument dedication and unveiling. That'll be, right now, it's looked like the mayor, members of city council, Purple Heart recipients, Richard Hunt, and dignitaries. We're going to have those come up there. We'll have the symbols of service. Tony, will you be doing it, or will you have your ladies doing it? Yes.
Tony Gross, 711 Sandleaf Avenue. Thank you for inviting us to do the presentation, Symbols of Service and Sacrifice. Donna Kistel is slated to be the Blue Star Mother to do the Blue Star presentation. At this point, I've been asked to attend the dedication ceremony that's going on the same time down in Pinellas County with Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners. So I'll be attending that, but if it's acceptable to you, I'd like to get someone to replace me.
That'd be fine if I understand the commitment on there, and it's going to be very large. And it's going to be also their first dedication.
Yes.
And yeah, as long as we have the 2
Yes.
or 3 ladies,
Yes.
whoever can attend would be fantastic.
Yes, I will
And
let you know.
Great, thank you.
And I can, just make sure if we could get the names ahead of time, you know, so I think we announced the names in the script last time or something.
Program.
Oh, in the program also? Okay. Yeah, so as soon as you could give us a name would be better. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is that the same presentation that was given in May?
It is.
The 4-minute long or less presentation.
Okay. Then we'll have the closing song by Mallard Gabarty, The Retiring of Colors by Admiral Farragut, closing remarks by Linda Norris, okay, and the end for the, I didn't have it in this, and I believe there was, at our last meeting, they'd said something about the bagpipes were on or off, and we didn't know where we were going to put them on. So it was a suggestion to have them, have the lady play the bagpipes like 5 minutes prior to the start of the ceremony.
At the beginning?
At the beginning.
Oh, she would have no problem with that.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I suggested her, that's why I was saying.
Yeah, I know we suggested her, but we had changed a few things around because we're not going to have the eagle, we're not going to have the rifle salute, and then, like I says, it was a toss-up whether we're gonna have the bagpipes or have Mallory do 2 songs. And I didn't want her to do the bagpipes while Mallory was doing her songs. And if we do it at the closing, everybody's going to hear Linda Norris and everybody's gonna head over for the hot dogs then. And they really she won't be appreciated. So I'd like to have her actually come in prior to the meeting before the meeting's called, or before the event's called to order, have her playing the bagpipes.
Did you want to call her? Or I will see her. I will see her on the weekend.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bryn Fraser, the recreation supervisor, and I'd be happy to call her. I've already been in contact with her regarding the ceremony, so I'd be happy to contact her.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's all I have.
And I was talking to Chip a little bit ahead of time. Remember the fans, those blue fans we had in the past?
Right.
I asked Chip, he's going to check and see if they have some of those, because I think it's probably, I mean, August is never usually hot in Florida, but it might be that day. Okay. And I think, Chip, you also said that you're going to see if you can get a couple of the big fans out there.
Well, that was discussed at our last meeting, whether we're going to have the fans or not. Now, the 2 gentlemen from Leisure Service or Parks and Rec said they can bring the fans out there, but they're going to drown out any speakers. They said they're excessively, they're very loud. I mean, it might be nice to have the crowd there, but if you can't hear them and everybody's going,
Yeah.
because we usually don't have the youngest crowd at these events anyway, and
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice to have the air going, but do we do it?
You know, or you know, it might be that you have them turned on like while people are gathering, so they're not melting beforehand. And then right when the ceremony starts, maybe we turn them off so everybody can hear. And as soon as the ceremony's over, they get turned back on or something. I don't know. Just a suggestion.
I mean,
what do you guys think?
I have no problem with that. I mean, it's.
We can also test it out a little bit. Back at the shop to see how far away. Maybe we can set the fans back, not underneath of the tent, but maybe back in the grass some, just so there is some air, but we'll see how loud it is.
Okay. Okay, that was all.
And
Any additions, completions, deletions?
none here. And anybody have any comments, questions, or anything?
Is there a draft of that that's been made up yet,
Yes,
that we could get a
do you
copy
happen
of?
to have another copy of this? Or,
Can you email us one?
Yeah, we haven't seen that.
Thank you.
there was just a rough, you want to see this one or just wait?
Do it now.
Okay, I don't have it. All right.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the Purple Heart?
This picture that I'm looking
That's-
at.
That'll be coming up here shortly.
That'll come up
Okay, 'cause I
at
just
item
wondered
4.
what that was.
Okay, yeah, that's for a couple of items down on the list, I believe.
Okay,
Okay, item number 3, the Veterans Day ceremony planning. So our next big event after the Purple Heart ceremony, obviously, will be Veterans Day. You know, we probably need a DA6 on this. That's a duty roster, so we can go through the list of, all the Army guys up here knew what that was. But, I don't remember who did the last ceremonies. I think you guys have pinned the last couple on me, so who's the Veterans Day guy? Did we already name you?
Yeah, I think I'd done it the last Memorial Day.
You did Memorial Day? All right. Who hasn't done one in a while? Who hasn't chaired one in a while?
I just did Purple Heart.
Yeah, you just did Purple Heart.
haven't, but
I know you've had,
I've
yeah.
got to hold off on doing it
Right, I understand.
because there's certain problems.
Yeah, no, I understand, and we're, prayers are definitely with you to get healed soon. Absolutely. So, any volunteers?
I guess I'll take, because I surely can't take Memorial Day after that one, so.
Okay. And I'm gonna have to go through all the different minutes and put together a little chart. I think I'm gonna create a DA6 for our ceremonies. Okay, well, and we have a great little guide to go off of now, thanks to John for putting this together for us. So as far as Veterans Day goes, if Dave should be able to take that on for us, this September, we will have another meeting before then. Yep, okay. So in addition to John's a sheet here, you know, the normal things that we, you know, attempt to do for those, et cetera. Any questions or comments from anyone on, for Mark? And if you need any help with anything, I mean, obviously we can kick in and help too, as always. So, but anything from us? Or you got it? Lock, stock, and barrel. Good to go?
Yeah, I've got a couple good ideas already because I assumed I was going to be doing this one.
All right, very good. Okay, now let's go on to agenda item number 4, discuss the Vietnam Veterans Monument. And that's where I thought we had open forum, where we have 2 guests here today. I'm not sure if both of you all are speaking to us. Our previous mayor and, well, you were a previous mayor too. You're both previous mayors, our 2 previous mayors.
And previous council members.
And previous council members. So just as before you guys even, you know, tell us about the concept and what's happening. So I've been talking to our mayor, and he called me after the last ceremony to kind of say, hey, just want to set the record straight that even though there was an announcement done at our Memorial Day ceremony that we were putting in a Purple Heart memorial, it had never really gotten approved anywhere. It was a suggestion by Jerry Beaverland that, hey, it'd be great to have something like this. And it kind of just morphed into a comment made at the Memorial Day ceremony that we were doing it. But it's, you know, he's not trying to jump our board or anything like that. And that is why he has asked our 2 previous council members and mayors to come forward and talk to us about the idea that they have on what they'd like to do in the park, so that we could bring it up for discussion. There's been a lot of discussion already about all of this. Obviously, we'll let them present what they have now to us, but I will also let you know that our brand new VFW here in Oldsmar, the commander of the VFW has to pick a project every year. And I mentioned this to him, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'd love to do that. So whatever this board approves to do, I can tell you right now, we already have a force that is willing to take it on and make it happen. So.
Can we back up to what you said about the Purple Heart monument and that it wasn't approved? What?
All right, so what happened is there was a comment made by one of our council members at Memorial Day, and I know it ruffled a few feathers on this board, because they said that a Purple Heart memorial was going to be put, or not Purple Heart, sorry, that a Vietnam Veterans Memorial, I keep on saying the wrong thing, Vietnam Veterans Memorial was going to be put in the park.
Oh, okay.
Vietnam veterans.
Because I know we went,
purple before.
We jumped through all the hoops for the Purple Heart.
Yeah, sorry, I was misspeaking. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial is what they had presented, or what was stated, but the intent is that it was always to come through our board first. And that is what you guys are here to talk to us about tonight, right? I don't know. They have a little stage fright. They usually don't talk in front of people.
This is weird.
It's different talk.
Weird being over there, isn't it?
Different over there.
Doug Beavis, 359 Bay Arbor Boulevard.
What's weird is
I just mowed my grass, so if you want to stop by.
he's taking the whole podium here. Jerry Beaverland, 512 Pine Avenue.
I'll let him start it off. I'm excited. I kind of was talking to Jerry today, but you kind of launched the idea, and then Eric called myself and Jerry to see if we would want to be part of the committee. We were also told that the VFW is very excited about it. I don't know exactly what it all means. Somebody may have more detail than I did. I was not at the council meeting. If Jerry wants to kind of set up how we got to this point, and maybe Ann knows, or was anybody else besides Ann at the council meeting? Chip was, right? I don't know what the dialogue was. I don't know how it came up and what the thought was and what the memorial or monument means, what we're looking to do. I know some money has already been pledged.
There's always money been pledged. Actually, the idea came from Tony. She kind of mentioned it, and I thought it was a great idea. Plus, it would make sense to put something on this side to make it uniform. And of course, it's going to be up to y'all what kind of monument goes there. But here's how I felt about it. I tried to read a list during the Vietnam War because I hated Washington, D.C. I'm going to be right up front. I hated Washington, D.C. I hated the damn people in the colleges and what they were doing to the Vietnam veterans. And I thought it was sad the way they were welcomed back to this country. Are not welcome back. And I think it would be not y'all's duty, but something like from us to try to do something for those veterans. I don't care where you were wounded, I don't care where you were shot, I don't care where you were killed. You're American service people and you're serving this country. I don't care where you are, what country you're in. You're representing me. And I was too old and had too many kids. So Tony had suggested something, and I thought it was a great idea to honor the Vietnam veterans. I brought it up at the council meeting, and right out of the way, I think there was about $2,000 or $4,000 that was pledged toward the monument. And we're forming a committee to raise the money, and we're here to ask you, please, help us build the monument. Again, I back up and say, I've always thought the Veterans Committee, in fact, I guess I kind of originated this whole thing way backyard about that, but I didn't want the council to get their discussions involved in what we were doing. So I suggested we have a Veterans Committee and let them make the decisions. Because there's so many people on council, they've never served anything anywhere at any time. So we're here to help. We're at your direction. I would suggest we form a committee, we raise the money, you all design the thing, whatever it is, and we build it.
I do have a question, and I don't know if this is Ann or a Chip question. Was there any discussion? I know with the Purple Heart, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like there's kind of a typical design, or that it's kind of a standard format, if that's the correct thing. Do we know if that's the case?
That's correct.
For the Purple Heart, is there similar for the Vietnam veterans?
Yes.
Similar type of a thing and kind of a
Yes, there for
kind
all
of protocol and format.
for all services. There each branch of this, or each quote war or conflict has its own memorial type.
It's uniform, and
For
I apologize
each one,
for not
yes.
knowing, but
for the Korean War, for the Vietnam War, for
There's nothing put in. You're talking about a wall that's got names and stuff.
no, it's just the Vietnam Memorial. There is a memorial with the three
Kinda like the Purple Heart?
with the three soldiers. It's more like a Iwo Jima type memorial,
but it's the standard.
it's a standard.
So we know what
It's a standard memorial.
and we know kind of roughly what it would cost and what.
So just
We
to,
have no idea what it cost.
Yeah.
If you could bring it up, if you
yeah,
don't mind.
so just to be clear, the recommendation that originally happened at that council meeting, I think maybe 2 meetings ago, was, hey, it would be great if we could put in a Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Oldsmar Veterans Park, correct? That was.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. And to what you said, I've heard other people say, yeah, there was, I think a number of people on the council and our attorney, et cetera. Oh yeah, I'll pledge 1,000, I'll pledge 1,000. And that's great. Some of the conversations that have ensued since then, right? And I can't agree more that, we even talked about when we put in the Purple Heart, when we were talking about that and putting in the monument, that eventually it'd be really cool to have something just opposed to it on the other side. Because this has kind of already been discussed in between meetings and things like that, some of the comments, and I'll open it up, when you guys are finished for the board to make some of their comments also, is, and, every one of us up here being veterans, respect and love every one of our veterans from the beginning of time through now. And so some of the comments that came from some of the other board members were, well, Vietnam Veterans Memorial would be great, but then, what about a Korean War Memorial? What about, World War II, World War I, et cetera? And I think one of the comments, and I think, from Mark is, what if we did an all wars memorial or something like that? And I know that was one of the comments.
We have nothing, that's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Can hand it to
I
them.
just want a memorial there for the people that fought for me.
Awesome.
I don't care what war you want to pick. I mean, that was just an idea of me because.
Yeah, that was an idea that,
Okay, thank you.
that Mark, that was what you brought in, right?
Actually, my wife found that online, yes.
Oh, okay. So
The way we feel
yeah,
is what you all want.
okay, I just,
All want,
Okay.
we're gonna help make it happen, okay?
yeah, and, and we can, talk about more of the specifics of it and things like that, but, that's what I wanted to kind of understand is,
We're gonna support you.
was the passion behind Vietnam Memorial only, or do you like the idea of, like what Mark brought forward? And we'll talk about it as a board also, but I wanted, because you're bringing it forward, I wanted to also know what you felt.
Whatever you decide,
Okay,
we're gonna support it.
awesome.
We're gonna support the veterans wherever they fought.
Right, awesome. And I will tell you, I mean, David Bear, our commander of our new VFW, did tell me I could speak on his behalf and say that he will support and have it as our VFW project if the board wants them to do so, and if you guys want them to do so, and believe me, we'll list everybody's help that need to be done, but they'll do all the legwork behind it also.
Whatever you all want, we're
Awesome.
for it, okay?
Great.
Whatever you all want,
All right, thank you.
because it's for the veterans.
Awesome.
You want to show that to Tony while she was, since she was on?
I'll speak for this guy over here, whatever his name is. Thank you all.
Thank you.
It's chips. It's chips.
Don't you need it for the
I
record?
have one.
Oh, you got it.
And Mayor Vivas, was that the first time you've ever talked from over there?
In this form, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to, open up for discussion of the board to kind of, obviously, you've already seen what Mark has given us. Do you want to expound upon it any further, or did I kind of sum it
It was
up?
just that I, as Jerry, very, I don't want to say fond of, but a Vietnam Memorial would be fantastic because I, Frank, and a few other people have fought in Vietnam. I understand how we're treated, but I don't know, I guess everybody from every war is treated a little bit different. I personally I wasn't affected by that. The Vietnam Memorial would be nice, but I really believe that it's going to slight a lot of other people. We still have not very many World War II people out there. I mean, they're over there in, not Bay Harbor, but, well, you might have some in Bay Harbor, but West Bay, excuse me. I definitely know you have people over there, Cold War, you had Korean War, you still have a lot of Korean War veterans out there, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Afghanistan War, Iraqi War. there's still a lot of veterans out there, and to single out a certain group, I think, I mean, I'd appreciate it, but I think it would be unfair to the rest of the veterans in the city, or whoever would come in the county, or whoever would come and see that. I mean, it'd be nice. Prior to this coming out, this one that my wife had found, I actually thought of something, trying to think of something that would be unique to all branches of the service. I don't know, like up at Bushnell, they have a howitzer that looks out over the gravestones, or an old Army Jeep, or something of that order, something that's unique to all branches of the service also, if we didn't get something similar to this. But it was just a suggestion. I'm one of 5, and I'm open for suggestions, comments, criticisms.
The first I heard of it.
Maybe not so much criticism.
As long as it's for the veterans,
Okay.
that's all we care about.
Thank you.
Can I just mention, can I jump in real quick? You know, in discussions with our administration and our staff, I know there's a strong desire to put in a Vietnam memorial, and there's also other discussion as well that there are other places in the park if in the future we want to recognize other wars or veterans. There are places throughout the park, so this wouldn't have to be an end-all be-all for a final statue or monument.
But, you know,
That's what they did in Tampa. They had first they came out with, I think it was the Korean War vet, World War II Korean War vet, Vietnam, and gradually they start building up the different monuments in there.
Right.
Question, how would we proceed as a board to be able to set this up without anybody coming across with something that they feel that, you know, you're gonna do this and do this and do this? Are we gonna be hearing from other places, and we're gonna have a strong meeting, or what are we planning on doing if we do this?
Well, just to say one thing, I mean, we're the board over here in Oldsmar, okay? And I believe, I know I can solicit as far as money, I'm sure everybody on this board can, but to start bringing everybody in from the outside is not gonna.
Yeah. You know, the way I look at it is that, so first of all, we've already gotten pretty much, you know, unilateral latitude from the people that brought it forward as the idea to the city as it is, right? So they've said, hey, whatever you guys want to do as a board that honors our veterans, okay? So that meets the intent of how it was brought forward. So the way I look at it is that this board then, if we can easily come to a conclusion of what we want as a memorial, then we could then, if we want to do so, we can pass it off to the VFW and say, okay, here you go, this is what we want. Come up with a plan and that matches what we have, and they can come back and show it to us, we approve it and go forward, and they fundraise and put it in.
Are they paying for it?
Oh, they'll do the fundraising and do everything for it, yeah.
Because, you know.
You know, they'll
that's what-
obviously go to the benefactors that have already put in some money
Right.
already, but yeah, fundraise for it and everything.
Are we limited on real estate for this memorial?
Well, I think the idea, I mean, well, we didn't
right
say
now it'll be
specifically,
across, it'll be
but it would
directly
make sense to
across
put across
from,
from the
If
other
we
one.
put a small one, yeah, right there, but we're talking about, like you mentioned, artillery, and that would be bigger stuff to be planning around. So I'm just wondering if there's a limitation on the real estate we're looking at for this.
Well, it's gonna depend on what we decide on. I mean, if we decide on this as a board, you know, something similar to this, then it would make the most sense to put it,
It would match what we have right now with the.
yeah, directly across from from what we have now.
This is the one in Washington, D.C. that he's talking about. It is a standardized Vietnam memorial.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, we lost the screen.
You know, I really think, you know, right now, we've got a clean slate, and we need to start with that clean slate and not focus on any single type monument, not any single, you know, I don't think we need to lock in that it's got to mirror the Purple Heart one and go on the other side. I think we should, again, look at the big picture and just start narrowing down exactly what we want. As far as a separate one for Vietnam, I'm a Vietnam era vet, and I would love one also, but I do believe that, you know, as a city, I don't know that we would be able to do a separate monument for every war that's been. If you go to Washington DC right now, if I'm not mistaken, there is no World War I memorial, but they've got the land for it now, and it's in a design phase, but as every memorial goes in, it's time to do the next one. You know, the World War II memorial is amazing with the two theaters on both sides there. Of course, the Vietnam Wall is touching. The Korean one is great with all the soldiers marching kind of off.
You got to remember the Vietnam veterans were the ones that started everything, okay? They're the ones that got
all these others
spit on and everything else.
Right.
So they're the ones that got out there. They're the radical ones of them all. If you look at the
all these
Korean
others
War
followed.
vets. And then, yeah, you got World War II, had the parades and everything, you know what I'm saying? And not to take away from that, but they didn't go forth on anything.
Right,
It
right.
took the Vietnam vet to go forth.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
May I make a quick comment? I think this is beautiful. I like Mark's idea. Why couldn't it be in memory of our Vietnam veterans, in honor of all of our veterans on the placard? And that would include everybody.
You mean the wording different than what's on there now?
Or add another placard so that no one is offended that they were left out. But something like in memory of our Vietnam veterans, in honor of all those who served, or something like that.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, this one had, you know.
On this one here is beautiful, the three soldier one.
Right, yeah. I guess it's up to, and like I said, this is, other than what,
Well, I mean, it's,
other than what Jerry and Doug is bringing up.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is probably the first go-round of it.
Yeah, and-
We're not finished with the Purple Heart Memorial, so we have a little, you know, we have some time to think about it. As a matter of fact, Alexis was saying that that's actually going to be a little bit more work because they got some big valves and big water line or whatever going up through there. Nothing that can't be done, but it's going to be a little more intense. And the ground does slope down, so it'll be a little more intense working.
right.
They're good.
I just have a question, and clarity from the advisory board. It's my understanding that the marble monuments that are out there now are ready for all of the veterans of all of the wars that's lived in Oldsmar, if I'm not mistaken. That whole
Veterans,
cluster.
all veterans, period. Not veterans of wars, but all veterans,
All
period.
veterans
Whether
of-
you're in a war or not.
Right.
You know, and it just all depends what the intent of this is. Like I
Right.
said, you know, and that's where it just seems like there's not 100% agreement is, you know, what, are we honoring just Vietnam veterans? We honoring all veterans of foreign wars? Or are we honoring all veterans, you know, to your point, all veterans are already honored on the wall itself, right?
What does it say on the big obelisk? Does it say something about all veterans? I can't remember what the exact verbiage is on that.
Is that the one with the tall one with
Yeah.
Don Bohr?
The original one.
Anybody know?
And if you did it individually, I hate to speak for the VFW, it
I'm
gives them
saying
a
that
project every year.
This may already be written somewhere on
Yeah,
it.
that's
I
right.
can't remember
It
what
is.
it says when you come in
Right.
there.
It is. The plaque on there honors all veterans that have served our country. That's what the original obelisk that went up was for.
Right.
The wall came later to actually put the names of those that lived in the city and to honor them. The first obelisk was done with a committee. There was no Veterans Board at the time. It was a committee that I was on, along with pretty much everybody else is dead that was on that committee. We sat there.
I appointed the committee.
We sat there and we met, we came up with the design, we went out and asked for money, and we have that was totally, completely paid for by donations, and it's the one that went across the street over here. That committee then stood up again later when it was time to do the wall. Now, the wall was not paid for with all donations. The wall had city money involved in it there to
Talking
put the
about
wall up.
Veterans Park now? That one?
That was still over here.
Before it was even moved, yeah.
That was
Well, when
still
it got
over here.
moved was Don Ball that was.
Yeah,
big
let
on
me
it.
give you the history of that, if you will. I was invited as mayor out to Bel Air Village to their little memorial that they had out there. That was in 1996. They asked me to come and speak, which I did, and I was so moved by that, I couldn't understand, well, why doesn't the city of Oldsmar do that? And I came back to the city council, the next city council meeting, and I told the council that we were going to start, and this is how I did it. And I don't apologize. We're going to start having Veterans Day and Memorial Day in the city of Oldsmar, and we're going to build a memorial. And so I appointed the committee to raise the money, and you were part of that. Tom Pinta, and there was a few others. And we built the obelisk. In 1999, 98 or 99, we decided, it wasn't any committee, we decided to put up the Wall of Heroes. And that's when the Wall of Heroes started. And that's when we said that the city is going to pay for that every year, for the Wall of Heroes. And we put a few walls, 2 or 3 walls up here. And that's how that started. And then I talked Roger Kumar into selling us the land out there. When he was going to sell it to, he had 2 contracts on it. I went to Roger, you know, we're friends most of the time. I said, sell it to the city. He said, well, the city's never asked me for it. I said, well, I am now. And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I will sell it to the city. He had 2 contracts. One of the contracts was stated that they were going to build him a townhouse there. He said, if I sell it to the city, can I keep part of it? And I said, whatever. And he gave us the price of $2.2 million for all that land. I thought I was going to have a fight. You were on council. I'm going to have a fight to get the city to buy that piece of land, and I was ready for a fight. I went to the council and said, let's buy that land. We bought it for $2.2 million. And then Bruce sent me up to Tallahassee. And I made a 5-minute speech, a passionate speech to help us pay for it. And they weren't giving anybody any money. We needed 5 points to give money back. And they weren't giving points to anybody. We sit in this big hall. And there was an attorney an architect from Tampa. He said on that end, he said, I know Mayor Beaverland. I didn't know him. He said, he gets what he wants. He says, I move we give him 5 points. And I thought I was going to pass out right there. And they gave us 5 points. We paid $2.2 million for it. They gave us, the state gave us $1.1 million back. That beautiful piece of land cost us $1.1 million. And that's the history of the whole thing. Thank you all.
So we don't know for a fact if Don's thing is actually all veterans? What was the conclusion on that?
Don didn't do anything.
No, but what it says on there's a plaque on it. Is it?
Don suggested we donate that land to a veterans park.
No, I'm talking about the monument. What does it say? Does
No,
it honor all
no.
veterans? Already?
Oh, yeah.
That was the whole point of the original
Yeah,
one, and
that's
that's what.
So my point is we already kind of have that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's true, that is all veterans, but like I said, something similar to this
Right.
said
Yeah.
design is actually the wars.
Yeah.
As compared to all veterans are on the wall, but this in specific, no, like I says, I'm not locked onto it, I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just trying to get something that's going to be really nice in the park, it's going to be a plus.
I'm sure the war veteran.
The obelisk was for,
No difference between the veteran and the war veteran.
we built the obelisk for veterans. I don't care what's on it, it was for the veterans. And you can't single that out and say, well, it's for this group, that, it was for everybody from 1776, 2019.
Thank you.
Again, thank you.
I can't get close enough to read it.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was trying to do, too. I was looking at pictures to see if I could see exactly what it says on it.
Well, the front part says City of Oldsmar salutes its veterans, but that's,
Oh, yeah, that part of
I
it,
can't see the plaque on there in that picture.
right. Yeah, it just says City of Oldsmar salutes veterans on that wall, but I can't read the obelisk behind it from any of these pictures that I'm seeing here. Trying to see if I could find one real quick that has it. Oh, wait, maybe this one's, nope, too dark. Well, I think, I don't think we're going to come up with, the conclusion today. So we may want to appoint a subcommittee to take this on of looking at what we're specifically going to do for it.
Well, let me ask, because the speakers had said they were forming a committee. Did I hear that? And was that to simply raise money, or was that to help
Well, we'd like,
bring it forward?
I personally would like to have you all okay forming a committee to raise the money, yes. I want the Veterans Committee to be involved in this from the bottom up.
I mean, if we're looking at work for a committee to do it, like I said, the VFW volunteered to do that also.
Yeah,
The
and I
commander of the
think-
VFW.
I think Mayor Seidel had asked us if we would be part of a committee along with the VFW.
Yeah.
If in fact the Veterans Board moved it forward
And
to whatever it is. If it doesn't move it forward, then there's
Yeah.
a committee of none.
I want the Veterans Committee personally to be involved in this thing, and then we will follow your lead.
Maybe you vet it a little bit and see what
right.
everybody likes.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah.
We'll give you all a volunteer money card.
So,
Can we set this up at our next meeting as a part of the, I think when is our next meeting, I might ask?
well, if you're saying part of the agenda, it already is part of the agenda tonight.
See, I didn't see that, that's why I wondered.
Okay.
But the idea that if we have it on the agenda of our next meeting, that we know what we're going to be discussing, and we're going to have our feelings one way or the other about this issue.
So
Unless you
you're
don't see it
suggesting
the other
to
way.
table to the next meeting?
I'm sorry?
You're saying you're tabling it to the next meeting so we can all come up with more
If
comprehensive
we're-
ideas and thoughts?
If we're going to be discussing about it today, I don't know what kind of, what the members are going to feel about it.
Basically, what Jerry is saying is that we're not gonna build it tomorrow.
I understand.
So there might be a lot more to go into it than what we're gonna come up with tonight.
Right. But, we're going to approach this one of two ways, right? We're either going to say, we're going to take this on as the board, and we're going to form a committee, a subcommittee on the board to put together the ideas of exactly what we're going to do. Or if we've got a willing external party that is willing to put together all the details for it and come forward with that plan that we then approve. But if we just keep on tabling it and we come back the next time, I feel like we're going to be at the same position and just say, okay, what are we going to do?
I think what Jerry said was he doesn't want the VFW to run with it. He wants the board to be part of it.
Okay, is that what you're saying?
I meant Jerry out there.
Oh, gotcha.
Jerry Beeman.
But we need to remember that we as a board fall under the sunshine law, and we can't form a subcommittee if we're gonna be discussing things that we're gonna be voting on later. We have to meet as a board. We're not allowed to meet individually. We've kind of been through this on other things.
Right.
Right, yes, but we've met together and had special,
Board meetings.
We've had special meetings, yeah.
Right.
All right, but we
Special
can't,
board meetings
we
in
can't
between.
form a subcommittee. I think it would be fantastic if there was a citizens committee, of which one of us could sit on, no more than one of us can really sit on it.
Right.
A veterans committee, a Veteran Citizens Committee to do nothing more than to bring forward some proposals for a memorial to memorialize war veterans in the park.
Well, if you do that, it's fine. That's still the board appointing the committee member to be on the thing. It's still the board that's going to appoint that person. However you do it, doesn't matter, as long as it gets done.
Saying it'll still have to be presented to us, whatever they come up with. Is that what you're saying?
Well, absolutely. The board we would still,
Oversee what's
you
going
know,
on.
have the final say on the recommendation to the city council and to the Parks and Rec board to get their involvement with the park and all those other things. But as far as, you know, individually coming up with a plan, I would love to see a citizens committee bring us some suggestions, along with whatever we would bring to it.
Okay.
Why don't you just call it an exploratory committee? You're just exploring the idea.
What I just don't want to see happen is, I mean, we've got ideas out there. We've already got commitments of funds, and to just table things for the sake of tabling it, I just feel like we've got people that are willing to work on this, however it needs to be done, so that we follow the rules appropriately. Let's just do it. You know, so what is I mean, are there concerns one way or another of how we're going to approach this?
If we're going to decide to do this, I don't know how we would be voting on it. Are we all going to be involved with this thing? Or are we in a position where we should vote on how we are accepting what's being said?
So it sounds like to me we've got a few different options here, right? We either, as Dave said, ask I guess a citizens committee to put together ideas or a plan that would then at a later date be presented to the board to approve, like we've done in the past. We've option 1, option 2, option 3, whatever, and we approve which one is going to be done. Or had we had something that we all agreed on today, or in the future on the board, we say, hey, one of us on the board is going to come to the next meeting and present ideas, and then we all vote on it at that time, you know? So one of 3 options: we either externally, somebody's going to work on it and bring something to the board for us to vote on, or internally, somebody's going to work on it and bring it to the board to vote on, or if we knew what all agreed today, we would vote on it today and move forward. So you know, but just to table and not go anywhere is not where I'd like to see this.
You can table something to death.
Yeah, exactly. That's
On
just
and
kicking the
on.
can.
Right, so let's,
What you have to do, you all make up your mind that you want the memorial there. You all can design it yourself. All you need to do is say, we want the committee and we want you to help us raise money. Doesn't mean we want to design it. We want to raise money for it. And you can determine yourselves how you want it designed. I don't care about that.
I don't think there's any discussion as far as we want a memorial.
right.
And now we're just kind of, do we want it as a Vietnam memorial, or do we want it as an all-inclusive war memorial? I think that's the discussion we're sitting at. Am I wrong on that?
I think you're right.
Can I ask a question?
That's the decision, you're right.
And I don't mean, because I would have probably gavelled myself and thrown both of us out of here by now for interrupting, but just because we've done this a lot, my thought might be, the agenda item says discussion of veterans monument.
Yeah.
And so the discussion is happening. I guess the question is, at the next meeting, is it an actual agenda item and you vote on it and either it passes as a veterans item, or to Jerry's point, you know, maybe it goes in different directions. I mean, I think that's simple enough. And if it passes, then you've got the committee to already carry it out.
I think your decision is whether you want a veterans memorial or a memorial to all veterans. That's
Yeah,
your
Vietnam
decision.
Memorial or.
Yeah,
or
yeah, Vietnam Memorial. That's your decision to make. And you can make that at the next meeting. And then you just say, okay, we want the committee, you appoint somebody to be on the committee, and your work's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm 100% in agreement. What I just want to make sure is when we adjourn today, that we don't come back 3 months from now and are at the same exact place we are right now.
Let me tell you, as far as raising money, if it was going to one war, like Vietnam vets, you'd be able to solicit every chapter out there, because there is no other one here, okay? Just like Tampa did when they set up theirs. They were able to solicit everyone. If we have an all war, then you're looking at some citizens throwing in money here. But I'd rather see different service organizations throwing the money in.
That's fine. Your decision to make.
Is our intent then, if we do go with the Vietnam one, every few years, another one somewhere else along the park? I mean, are we looking long-term, something like that?
Right. And there's a group of veterans, you get in Afghanistan, Iraq, and so on, you're gonna have a group of people that's gonna wanna see their monument. You'll be able to solicit everywhere to have that, because they'll come from everywhere to
We
see
have
it.
5 acres down there, and we can beautify it with all the memorials you want. Thank you, guys. I'm leaving.
Thank you. Okay.
I could tell you my thoughts here, and I'm almost ready to make a motion, but I'm gonna just talk for a moment. You know, I think that a memorial to honor all wars is the way we should move forward. But I also think that we should do much more than this example, which is a great example of a monument that was done where it just says, like Vietnam War, that we do a little more than that, and somehow in what we finally wind up with, that it has a component for each of the wars, whether it's a multi-sided one with a Vietnam side, a World War II side, a Korean side, something like that that's all encompassing, but not just a list of wars.
Right, this one will blend in with everything we have out
Yeah,
there, wouldn't even
right.
stand out.
So that
You know what I'm
each
saying?
war would have its part or its recognition there. But I think if a motion's in order yet, I have a motion that I'd like to make if we're done with discussion on just general discussion.
Yeah, and, and just one final thought, of discussion from myself before you do make a motion is, you guys were part of the Vietnam War. Obviously, I wasn't, showing my age, right? Younger age than you guys, but honoring our war heroes of any magnitude is going to be important to many people, and it sounds like whichever route we go is probably not going to make everybody happy, right? So there's some people that are adamant that a Vietnam memorial is the way to go, and there's others that are going to say, hey, we should honor all of them all at once. So, but I think whichever way we go initially is not going to be wrong.
Right. What Dave just said
Yeah.
makes more sense, something like what Tony had out there.
Yeah.
All right, and something honoring each war,
Right.
separate it.
And
You
I love
understand?
this
Not on
idea.
one war.
Yeah,
have
yeah, that's
that.
pretty cool.
You have that, and the first one is the Vietnam veteran component, and maybe you cluster them all together over time, and that one that you have kind of sets the pace, the tone for that area, and then you have the first one that's been brought forward as because I think you're right with the fundraising, Frank.
Yes.
And
A question, if I might. What would that do with you as far as being able to do all this stuff out in the field?
From a maintenance standpoint, it wouldn't have really any impact.
Job security.
Less grass to mow.
Right.
Have to get lights
Real
on
estate's gonna start
eventually.
increasing on this then.
So, Again, I just want to make sure whatever we bring forward and go forward as a motion today is that there's going to be some work that's done by somebody between now and the next meeting so that we have something to actually vote on to move forward at some point. Make sense? Everybody in agreement somewhat? Okay,
I mean, there was a lot of suggestions put out there, and like
yeah.
I says having, as Mr. Beavis just said, about coming up here and having this as a singular monument, like they do over, Dave, have you been over to 301 Veterans Memorial? Okay, and same thing, they have the singular monument, similar to this, but then they have on the circular around, they have a lot of other monuments around there.
On each wall.
Just to put this one, as I said, and like I said, I'm not sold on this, and I don't have any money into it. But like I says, having this one out here, and then if you want other monuments surrounding it or going around there.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I have,
And some initial planning, into that, I think would make sense so that you kind of make it flow correctly, and whether it's the time periods or whatever, even if it's a walkway through the wars or something.
right, you could just have,
Yeah.
as they do over.
But the first one being, the,
Well, not all wars have memorials.
yeah, I'm not saying that either,
We would create one,
Right.
a soldier there with boots or whatever, honoring each war.
And I would ask a question, I don't mean to interrupt, I apologize, but I think it's an important issue. I would not mind bringing this to the city council as an idea for the council, the city to, as they do with the engraved walls, that they do this part of it, and then the committees then do the individual ones, and maybe the city steps forward and does the intro one.
Right.
And I wouldn't mind if the advisory board would want me to, I would bring that to the Citizens Open Forum for the city to handle that, if that's the desire of the.
Come up with a final design.
yeah, I think that might be
Otherwise, we're gonna get.
too early.
Yeah.
Right, but just the concept, it's
Right.
not the design, but just the concept.
This is just a unique memorial, like I said, you were talking about other ones, they have them all up there.
Yeah.
As one that we could put up, or you pass that down.
But then they buy into doing
Okay.
the thing, and then the committees.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Now, there was a motion that was brought forward. Are we going to,
There hasn't been a motion.
No, there hadn't been a motion yet. He was talking about making a motion, but
Oh,
it
I
has
thought
not
you
been
were-
made as of yet.
it sounded like a motion.
It was a notion to make a motion. All right. I know we have a lot of ideas here. I'm kind of interested to hear how your motion to tie this together is going to go, Dave.
Well, since the agenda item was to discuss a Vietnam Veterans Memorial, I move that for our next meeting, there be an agenda item to continue this discussion as a all wars memorial, and that we all bring, or over the course of the next, before the next meeting, that we all, it's a long motion. Maybe we'll shorten it up in a second. That we all bring ideas, and we also invite citizen comment to bring ideas as to how we will move forward with that.
Great, sounds like a great motion.
Does that mean you're
I'm
seconding it? Or
No, I mean, I'm trying to process it right now. but
Right,
yeah,
right.
I'm
We may
like,
need to
what's he
hone
say?
that in a little
Okay,
bit.
I would second that motion.
And further discussion then on that, I don't want to use the term kick the can down the road. I don't want to
Right.
just move this to our next meeting, but I do, we were only discussing a Vietnam memorial today, and with this motion, I would like it to be that we are moving forward with a monument to honor all those that fought in all wars. And we start gathering our thoughts on how we're going to do this, because it's more grand than just a simple little monument. If we're going to be doing, like we discussed, where we'll have a a main monument with other components to it. It's much more than just, one item that we just order and they bring down and
Be a
install.
lot easier to solicit.
This is gonna be a multi-year, pretty major undertaking. And I don't want to jump, just because somebody brings something, I don't want to jump on and say, oh, great, let's do it and move on. I want to put a lot of thought into this thing and get a lot of input.
A question, we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 7 people?
Oh,
Are we going, did I count wrong?
no, you're good, but it's,
Oh, what I was going to discuss is, are we all going to be able to vote on this?
Well, yeah,
You can only have
well, you
five
can only
people.
have five, was
Five.
my question on your
Yeah,
voting.
but what I'm saying is that just want to make sure how the vote is going to be taken.
Right, so the vote
As a
is
board,
with
majority,
with a
yes.
vote of 5.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to bringing suggestions, everybody is welcome to.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, everybody's entitled to
No, but they can all
suggestions.
bring suggestions.
You bring-
and then it'll-
bring all
No,
your
I
ideas.
understand that. I'm just suggesting, we did have a problem at one particular issue, and it kind of had to go back to the members and not the, well, okay, I won't go any further.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know, if there's 5 of us and you take a vote, there's no way it can be a tie, so. All right, so
We need a vote.
the motion on the floor is for us to to not table it, but to make this an agenda item at the next meeting that we are going to discuss this as an all wars memorial and how to actually move forward with that. And the biggest part of the intent of this motion is that we all come as board members and alternate board members with ideas that would put this into place. And then we can solicit and look at those ideas during that agenda item. And, at that time, if it's ready for a vote, we vote on one or we move forward with funding, et cetera. But we'll kind of know that when we come to the next one. Is that kind of where we're at with it? You were the one that made the motion. Is that paraphrasing it well enough? And you second it? Does the board agree? All in favor?
Well, no, you can't do it that way. You want to take everybody's name personally?
No, you
Motion.
can do a
only a
vote.
motion.
Yeah, it's just a motion. That's it.
Okay.
That's all we're doing is approving the motion. So,
So the ayes have it.
They do, really. This is what it's sounding like, yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make another motion.
What, did you have a,
did you have
What?
did you have a concern?
did you have a concern?
No, just the idea of the vote, because if there's 5 of us voting, it could be a 2-3 or 3-2 or something. I'm gonna call for the motion to be voted on. I can
The
do
motion
that,
Dave just made,
Dave made a motion, I seconded it.
but I'm calling for the motion so we have no more discussion, is what I'm doing.
Okay. We did. We can do it.
You can do that, you can do that. There's our mayor, we can ask him about
no,
that.
we done it.
Yeah, we just did that. I said all in favor.
Just
And it was all ayes.
Yeah. And it was all ayes.
Right.
Where was it? I didn't see any.
You would have sold one. There was 4 against 1.
Yeah.
Do the roll call?
Would you like us to roll call it?
No, just votes.
We did.
Okay. We did. So we had ayes all the way to here.
I didn't
Are
see,
you?
no, I didn't see a hand up.
Okay, we'll do it now. All in favor of approving the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Oh, aye.
There we go. So we got 5 ayes. Okay. Woo. All right, and I think Dave has a second motion.
On this, I'm guessing I could still make a motion relative to this, that we make a motion that we request that we make a presentation to City Council to to get their support for us to move forward with this endeavor.
Did
I thought they already
Doug
specified.
offer to do that?
Yeah, they already, the mayor actually appointed them to represent, because they talked about the last council meeting. So
They have?
they've already, yeah, it was, because it was brought forward kind of in a reverse order. The mayor had already said that the idea had come to, as for a Vietnam memorial, had come to the council, but knowing that it's appropriate that it comes through us first, then appointed our two previous mayors to then bring it to the board officially. So they've already, I think, discussed it at the council. I don't think we have to go back to them again to ask them if we could start moving forward on this, because it kind of came from them for us to work on it as a subcommittee, or advisory board. Is that?
Right. I mean, I think if I understand correctly, your concern is that maybe city council would not want all inclusive, and they're really more concerned with Vietnam Veteran Memorial. Is that your concern, Dave?
We don't know what we're gonna be doing yet.
I didn't have
Next
any,
meeting.
there was nothing in my packet of, city council's actions and that they were bringing something to us. I don't,
It was discussion from a citizens' open forum, so there was no formal action that
Okay,
was
so
sent
this-
back to the board, but there is strong support informally behind the scenes and as a
And-
result of citizens' open forum that day.
well, then, since there was no formal action taken, then I would let my motion stand that we present back to city council and ask for their support for an all-war monument go down in Veterans Memorial Park and not just a Vietnam Veterans Monument.
I see, okay, so that's what you are saying, so that we're,
Okay.
so that we make sure we get their support, that it would be all wars and not just Vietnam.
Correct.
Okay.
And as Mayor Beavis said, at that time, they could possibly even commit to doing, a portion of it with, that they could budget that in future years and possibly fund some of it with city money.
How do things typically come? Because I've never been on this side, I've been on the council side, but the question I guess I have is, do we as a committee or with your assistance as well, present to the city council the two ideas, and then doesn't council then give the advisory council direction as to whether it's the veterans or the whole thing?
I think
Yeah,
most,
usually
I thought they kind of give directions to vet a particular.
Yeah, well, most of the time, like in the past, as an example, I think with the Purple Heart, and then even the fallen soldiers for the Eagle Project prior to that, it came to this board first, we discussed it, and then went to the city
Right.
after we approved it at this level, and then presented to city council saying, we endorse this and we would like the city council's approval, and then you guys approved it.
Right.
Right,
So that
they
would
gave us
be
basically final blessing or whatever.
final blessing,
Just-
yeah. So I think I see,
even if there was discussion at a council meeting, I
Yeah.
think typically what happens at the meeting is the council says, that's a great idea, you need to take that
Go
to the
discuss
Veterans
it.
Board.
Okay, I haven't been on this side, so. And then you present to them the ideas, and they yay or nay, one or both or none.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just to clarify, Dave, is your concern that because it kind of was discussed there as specifically a Vietnam memorial, that we should go back and in a, in a motion to, from here, but a recommendation to them that we want to get their blessing that we are looking at potentially it being an all-war memorial instead of just a Vietnam?
And again, my question of the board, and I don't want to get into your business, but do you want me, since you guys don't meet for a little while, do you want me to go to the Citizens Open Forum and/or with you guys and tell them the results of today's discussion that this is where you guys are going? And is that too early?
No, I believe since you were kind of appointed by city council to be part of, not really part of the Veterans Committee, but a liaison to the city, I would see. And even if we didn't do it at the city council meeting, you could make it official and have it as an agenda item on the city council meeting. And
to follow up and where you guys are.
Follow up and say, this is what we want, as per Dave's suggestion, instead of just being a Vietnam-specific memorial, that we would do a all-inclusive memorial, and then probably add 2 different memorials at a later date.
Especially for the ones that pledged money.
Yes.
And should that be an agenda item?
That way I thought it would be.
From us?
That way I thought it'd be an official, since everything kind of went from the board, it was open. I don't know, that would be.
So I think what you're asking for is you want support from council that it's a good direction going before you waste a lot of time. In a sense, you want to make sure that.
Clarify the direction we're taking, since it came to us a little different, since we've changed course a little bit.
Right, so
We're not even looking for a motion or anything from the city council.
Because it looks a little different now than it.
Right.
It was simply getting their consensus to allow us to move forward.
Yeah, and I think even on this board itself, I can sense that there's part of the board that would like it to be strict, like it was presented a Vietnam memorial, and other parts of the board that wants it to be an all war memorial. And that being said, it may definitely be that way from city council
What
too.
Dave said in the beginning,
Right.
you have this centerpiece, and then you're building a piece at a time
Right.
for the different wars. Then you can go out and solicit all VSOs, because there is no other one in Pinellas County.
Right.
So we would be able to get the money to do it. If not, then, you're gonna have to ask City of Oldsmar, give you money. I mean, it'd be easy for us to solicit money if we did a piece at a time.
Yeah, but I do like Dave's idea with the suggestion, this is our centerpiece of the all-war memorial, and then we just add
The veterans one is the first one. At least that's my understanding from the council.
well, we could, that's further down.
Right.
That's further
But
down
that's the
the line.
fundraiser, is to that be the first? Is that, I just want to make sure I understand the messaging that I may take back
But
to
the
them.
plaque would be the first, or some.
I don't know that we're at that point yet.
I believe he said that he would present it to city council for them to take care of the plaque part of it, right?
I mean, somebody may come forward with a grand monument that includes all the wars appropriately, represented, and it could be one big one. We don't know. I don't know that we're there yet.
Maybe that's the dialogue that I bring, is that it kind of diverted, and you're looking at either an all-inclusive introduction monument or an all-inclusive mega thing, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And that's the dialogue that you'll have at the next meeting. Is that kind of the message that?
I think
Yes.
that's where we're at.
So if that happens during citizens open forum, it at least gives council a chance to have some dialogue about it, and then you get a better sense of where council's informed, kind of what they think in their minds.
Okay.
So we kind of have a couple different options. One is the all-inclusive only, all-inclusive with the individual wars represented as see fit, or the third option is conglomerate, bigger than just that, all-inclusive of everything.
Yeah.
That could be outrageously big undertaking, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that, I just want to make sure I'm hearing before I leave, that's.
Yeah, I think that's the direction that we're talking about here.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys can be there, but if they want, that way I can kind of be the liaison to them, since you guys can't talk except at these meetings outwardly, so.
Right.
Is that how I'm understanding that I'm going to somewhat present?
Well, we can't, because we can't talk together and make decisions on it.
Well, there's no
outside the meeting.
decisions.
Well, just to share something else, I mean, since, Doug Vivas would be giving an update, so to speak, at the next Citizens Open Forum on August 6th. That's also when the Purple Heart Proclamation is getting presented, and we may have some VAB members there if there is some kind of question, but at least you can directly hear also from any of the council discussion.
Right.
Just want to make sure it's going to meet Mr. Tilke's needs.
So my, kind of at least on point with
Yeah,
with the
absolutely,
direction?
please.
1, 2, or A, B, or C?
Right.
Okay. All right.
So there was a motion, right,
There was a motion.
Yes.
to make, so the motion was that happens.
Okay.
So just to paraphrase, I think what you're saying from your motion is that the committee, represented by Mayor Beavis, goes back to the council and presents the different ideas.
You need a motion or just a consensus?
Was there a motion on the,
Oh, sorry, apologize.
Yeah. Unless you're withdrawing your motion, and we just do it as a consensus.
Yeah, I'll withdraw the motion since it's going this way. Yeah, I'll withdraw the motion. Then, we just need a consensus from the board that we simply want to let the council know that
Update.
we're moving a little differently than that initial direction and just make sure they're still on board.
And I think, as Ann said, there's enough things going on that meeting that I assume some of you guys will.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be, I've got a meeting scheduled, but if it gets canceled like a lot of other ones have been lately, then I'll be there.
I apologize for keep interrupting, but I just want to make sure that I'm
No,
understanding.
I think it's been good dialogue. Thank you very much.
But we're good?
I believe so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on item number 4?
Or,
I hope not.
or,
I gotta go, hurry up.
Okay, good. Item number 5, excuse Ricard Smith's absent for the April 22nd, 2019 Veterans Advisory Board meeting.
so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, at this time, we will, do we have any other board comments before we, unless someone gives us a motion to adjourn?
Just one question,
Yes.
because I'd love to call the adjournment, but this document accessibility statement, exactly what does that mean?
well, that's because ADA compliance is a very big issue with a lot of litigation online. So since the agenda is online, we're trying to cover our heinies about ADA compliance.
Okay, I call for the finishing of this meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'll use the gavel. We're adjourned.